So, welcome back to the channel. This is the last video in the Tesla. It goes back tomorrow, and I've had it now for I think 6 weeks, just over 6 weeks maybe. And I've done, let me just double check, 2,600 miles. So I feel that's quite a good amount of miles to get a judgment on, you know, an opinion on the car and what I feel about it. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and then go and smash that notification bell, and you'll be alerted to when the video is up on the channel. Now, Teslas are what I find, to me they're a bit like Apple. They're a brand. More than a car, it's more about the brand, and people really like the Tesla brand. So what I will do, I'll go through what I like about the car first. I will then go through what I don't like about the car, and at the end I will just sum it all up and give you my opinion on whether I would use my hard-earned cash to buy this car. So let's dive straight in with my likes. Now, I would say top of my likes is the drive. It's a really nice car to drive. It can be very nippy and very quick if you want to, or you stick it in the chill mode and it just relaxes it a bit, dulls down the acceleration and etc. But I've been commuting in and out of London for the last 6 weeks with the car, doing roughly, I suppose, about 120 miles a day. And that's on motorway and obviously inner city driving. And I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the drive itself. It's very smooth. Like I said, it's got a very good acceleration. The car is comfortable. It feels roomy. It is a wide car. You do have to bear, pardon me, you do have to bear that in mind, especially if you're trying to get into parking spaces and also streets that have the very narrow bollards. It can be a bit you know, trying to get through, but with all the cameras and everything, it does alert you very well. So yeah, the drive is the main factor. Then I would say it's the comfort. You know, the room, most of my driving is just me in the car. I haven't really done a lot of driving with the car fully loaded, with family. You know, I've had short journeys with the wife and a couple of the kids, and it's ample. But as you would have seen in my last video on the interior space and that, if you've got 4 adults, you know, on a long journey, it could get quite uncomfortable for those in the back, as the headroom is very much compromised with the sloping glass roof. But you know, if it's just you and a couple of kids, young kids, it's more than ample space wise. It's quite nicely laid out with the glass roof as well. It does make it feel a lot bigger and spacious as well, so you get that nice feeling of not being so enclosed. That also brings me on to another thing I quite like is the windows are very big, especially the front window, which gives you a really good field of vision when you're driving, and especially when you're in London. There's, you know, a lot of stuff going on, so I feel a lot more comfortable. You know, there's not too many blind spots. What else? You know, the ability to do the fast charging as well, and the supercharger network is very good. You know, I haven't really used the supercharger network a great deal there, due to the fact that I get my car through Onto, and with that I get free subscription as well with BP and Shell and Instavolt, and those chargers to me are a bit more convenient. Also the fact that my nearest superchargers are sort of in the middle of nowhere, so you can't sort of stop and have a cup of coffee and stuff like that. so I don't tend to use the superchargers. When I have used them, it's they've been quite good. Initially I was having issues with the speeds, but then worked out that one of the things you need to do is precondition the battery on the Tesla just to get the best speeds out. So yeah, those are my pluses on it. I would also say the safety aspect with all the cameras, you know, there's 8 cameras on it. You have the Sentry mode, that's very good. You know that if something happens to the car when you're not around, it's all going to be recorded. It's obviously going to help you with insurance and stuff like that. The infotainment system, you know, not so much for me, but my son loves the games and everything, albeit, you know, you can only play them when you're in park, so they're not of much use to the driver or that. And the fact that it charges so quickly as well, you don't need to sit there and play games or watch Netflix or that, you know, because you're only normally there for 30 minutes or so. By the time you've had your coffee and that, it's ready to go. Yeah, I would say the interior is nicely laid out. It's very sparse, like I've mentioned before, but it's functional, and it does what it needs to do. So I would say that sort of sums up really what I like about the car. I would say the range is okay. This is the standard range plus. I have seen, you know, now we're in winter, you would have seen the range video. You know, you're looking at 160 to 170 miles depending on how you're driving. So that's ample for most people's journeys, especially if you're going to charge at home. So let's move on to my dislikes. And I would have to say one of them is the fact it's a Tesla. You know, I don't buy into all that brand stuff like Apple and that, you know, and the massive fan base and, you know, the fanboys side of things. You know, I prefer to have something because of the quality of it, not by the name of it. You know, I don't buy into that massive brand stuff. You know, if there's something out there better, but not with a big name brand, I will go for that. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that it's all about the badge that's on the front of the car, and I think with Tesla that is very prevalent as well, that people associate Tesla with a certain affluency, I would say. So, you know, if I loved the car enough, then fine. If I really like a car, I would have it, and I would give you that honest opinion. But, you know, to say the top of my list is, yeah, the fact that as soon as you mention Tesla to someone, it's like, oh wow, a Tesla, whoa. But they don't know anything about it. They don't know anything about the car. They just know about the brand, and they just think, oh, premium. One of my main bugbears with the car is the infotainment system and the way that everything is run from that hub. There's no, on the Model 3, there's no driver dashboard, so, you know, your eyes are always sort of averted over to the screen to see what your speed is, see, you know, your lane control and all that sort of stuff, and also your navigation. So that takes away from the safety aspects of being looking straight out of the car. Now, what you do need to remember is Teslas were ultimately designed and built for FSD, full self-driving. You know, that is the complete and utter aim of Tesla, is that they are an autonomous driving system eventually. You know, now in the States, you know, full self-driving is available. As far as I'm aware, in the UK it's not legal. You know, don't quote me on that, I haven't really looked into it, but it's not a functionality that I see used in the UK. There is the autopilot, but that pretty much is just adaptive cruise control with lane control. And that sort of brings me on to the fact as well, another reason I don't really like Tesla is the fact that they encourage you not to concentrate as such, because they try and automate everything. And I'm a firm believer that as soon as you add all these adaptive cruise control, lane control, full self-driving, it's an accident waiting to happen. Until every car on the road is a full self-drive car and an autonomous vehicle, then it's just not safe, pure and simple. Because you know, no matter how good the algorithm is on the computer system that's built in the car, it can never really predict what's going to happen. And you know, I've been driving now for over 30 odd years, and you know, I see all sorts of manner, and especially when you're driving in and out of London on a daily basis, it's crazy. And there is no way that I would trust a car to make the decisions for me. And you know, I know a lot of people, especially of the younger generation, is like, yeah, full self-driving, yeah, let's get in the car, let it do. No, it's just definitely not for me. A bit of adaptive cruise control when I'm on a motorway, then yes, you know, that I find that that's more than ample. You still have to concentrate on what you're doing and look out the front of the car and that. I just find that the more automated the driving gets, the more likely you are to take your concentration away from what's happening around you and pick your phone up, etc, etc. I know I sound like an old fart, but that's just my view. And roads are dangerous and cars are dangerous, you know, so you have to have your wits about you. And also, this is one of the reasons as well, is the Tesla Model 3. I don't know if it's across the whole Tesla range, but it has this thing called phantom braking, and it has absolutely scared the life out of me, driving daily on a motorway. Now, I don't know what's happening with it, but if you Google phantom braking in Tesla, you'll see it comes up a lot in all the forums and that, and it is quite a common issue. Whereby you will be driving along, you'll be in your autopilot or whatever. I'll be going down the motorway, and this has happened to me, you know, once or twice a week sometimes, and even more. You'll be driving along, just cruising along, nothing else happening, no traffic or nothing around you, cruising along at the speed limit, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, with no alert, the car will slam brakes on, and it just initially panic mode sets in. Now, I've been very lucky that when this has happened to me, it has been when there hasn't been very much traffic on the road. If you imagine driving along at 70 miles an hour on a very busy, say, M25 motorway, where cars are pretty much bumper to bumper, and phantom braking kicks in, the car behind you is just going to wipe you out. Basically, it's going to go straight into the back of you. They're not going to have time to stop, and it's very scary. For that reason, a lot of the time I won't have the auto on. Now, I'm not sure whether it happens if you're not in the autopilot, you know, but I would probably think yes as well, because I think the actual phantom braking is the car doing an emergency braking because it thinks it's going to collide with something. So I'm sure that Tesla are looking into software changes or that. I'm not sure whether it's been fixed in the latest update that happened in this car last week. Let's hope so, because yeah, it's very scary when it happens. Yeah, going back also to this hub, you know, one of my bugbears in this car is the fact that you have to do everything through it. And again, it makes it very difficult to change stuff on the fly when you're driving. You know, regenerative braking, you know, in all my other vehicles that I've tested and I've had, over the last year. Most of them you've been able to adjust your regen braking as and when you want to. Now on the Tesla, this happens through the hub, and you can only do it if you're parked and you're stopped in the car. So if you're driving on motorway and you want to switch off the regen braking or put it onto its lowest setting, and then if you go into the city and you want to put it on its highest setting, you can only do this if you stop the car. So which is, you know, it's unusable basically. So yes, other things that I find annoying, you know, a lot of these are just minor and niggly, but you know, these are my honest opinions from driving the vehicle for these 6 weeks. You know, one of the issues is that I find, especially on the Model 3, is the flush fitting handles. You know, they don't pop out or anything when you move up to the car. They stay flush, they don't light up or anything. So if it's in a dark car park or something, it can be very difficult to find where the handle is. So you know, you just tend to be fumbling along the door. You know, you have a rough idea where it is until you find it. And that also, the actual design just isn't right. You know, you have to push it in with your thumb and then pull the handle. It's yeah, it's just unnecessary, I feel. It's just an aesthetic thing to make the car look all nice and flush. Now the other bugbear I have, you know, and obviously if I was buying a car, this would be one thing I'd look at beforehand, but obviously, you know, for the sake of this channel, I take all the different cars and I will test them. But the boot on the car, being a saloon, having that very narrow entrance, you know, if you have a family, it's just a nightmare, really. You know, you just don't have any room, you know, if you want to put something larger into it. Even though it's got a very, very large boot space, you can't, you know, unless it's a smaller items, you know, you just can't get them in. You know, I mentioned it on the interior space. You know, if you want to move you know, a cupboard or some drawers, you go and buy a bike, say, let's just say you want to take the kids out for bike rides or stuff, you can't just throw them into the back. You know, so that for me would be a #1 thing on, you know. And I think in this day and age as well, that I think it's unnecessary for having that sort of saloon style. They could just as easily made it hatchback with that back window, you know. And obviously the Model Y that they've brought out now, that has the bigger hatchback style. You know, they had the Model S, which is pretty much the same car, so I don't see why they needed the Model S and the Model 3 looking exactly the same and having the same sort of thing. So, you know, that's assuming, you know, I haven't tried the Model S, so I'm assuming that the boot is the same on it. You know, correct me in the comments below if I'm incorrect, but for me the Model S looks pretty much the same as the Model 3, so I would assume that it has that same style boot. So rather than sort of going on and on about all the tiny little niggly things and that, you know, I've put all my other videos out so you can see, you know, my comments on them about certain aspects of the car. But ultimately, I suppose you want to know whether I feel that it's a good buy. And I have to say, you know, I've had 9 electric cars in the last year, and this wouldn't be at the top of my list. You know, I've only tried the Model 3. Hopefully when we get the Model Y next year over here, I can try that out. My opinions may differ, but I just feel it's a bit of a fanboy car. It's, you know, if you go on any of the Tesla Model 3 forums, you know, it's mainly American driven as well, all these forums, and you know, and the hype, you know, they customize these things, they drop them, lower them, wrap them and everything, you know, trying to make them like a sports car. But you know, for a family, if you're getting into EVs, a lot of people, when they think, oh, I'm going, you know, I want to buy an electric car, the first name or brand that they think about is Tesla. You know, it's a very, very well marketed company, and it's at the top of everyone's list of, you know, if you say to someone, you know, name an electric car, the first car that they will probably say is Tesla. Try several cars, you know, especially if you are a family. I really don't think that this is a long-term car for a family. Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint, and I know that, you know, the Tesla club are going to come out and they're going to slate me for things I've said, and I may have been incorrect on some things, but this is just my honest opinion. You know, Mr. Honest EV, I'm just telling you as it is. You know, I'm not paid to do any of these reviews. I pay for these cars on my subscription, so you know, and I do it so that I can bring an honest, unbiased opinion of the car. And the fanboys and everyone, they're going to come out of the woodwork. You know, I've had it in the forums. You know, as soon as you start to say anything negative about Teslas, they all come at you. So I'm expecting some of those comments below. But you know, if you agree or disagree, it would be great to hear your comments, actually. You know, and I think that that's the great thing of this sort of forum for social media, is that, you know, you can have these discussions, you know, and if someone wants to try and convince me that it is the right car, I'm more than happy to hear from them. You know, if you've had the car for a long time and it works for you with a family and everything, then that's great, and I'm sure that you can work around it. But it'd be great to put it in the comments below and hear your thoughts. You know, thank you for following the channel. I really do appreciate it. My new car gets delivered tomorrow, which by the time this video goes out, I would already have the new car. So as I said earlier on, don't forget to subscribe and like, hit that notification bell, and you'll know when this video and any other videos come out, and you'll also be notified of the new car, what I'm getting. So safe driving, everyone. I hope you have a good holidays, and I'll catch up with you soon.